Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we are looking at the Soft Top Convertible Hoods for the Triumph TR3A and TR3B models. We've got two versions of the hood here. At the front we've got red Mohair, so that's the deluxe canvas material, and then we've got beige Everflex PQ material effectively here. So this is effectively what a lot of people refer to as a vinyl hood, which was originally fitted to the majority of the cars. And then DMC, which is deluxe Mohair canvas, is a sort of creme de la creme of hooding. Note this is for the majority of the TR3As and TR3Bs. Actually, the chassis number changed at around 28,000, roughly in that chassis number range. I've got the figure on our website, where the design of the soft top actually did change, and it changed from the shared one with the earlier TR3s and most of the TR2s, where it was kind of sewn with a strip panel going down there, etc. I refer to as kind of the three-piece version of the soft top, whereas the later TR3As, after TS 28,000 and something onwards, went to this kind of one-piece version where you didn't have the separate panels. Does make these a bit harder to fit, unfortunately. You tend to get a bit more bagginess that you have to really stretch and pull out in the areas down the left and right channels, so just bear that in mind. Happy to guide you through it, but just be aware of that. Those keen-eyed of you might have spotted that actually there's a slight difference on the rear window as well. This one here, at the request of the customer, we've put a zip out rear window in, easy to see from the underside. Yeah, zip there, so we can do that. It does carry a surcharge, so contact us for more details on that. Then the only other thing to note on here is the differences in the headrail section. This is commonly seen on a lot of the TR2s to 3Bs, and it's the kind of Everflex draft excluder wind section there. Now, strictly speaking, on the TR3As they did actually upgrade to a different flat version, which we've done on here again at the request of the customer, where it was sewn and HF welded with these location holes here roughly for the 10X fixings, fixings. Bear in mind they're only used as guide holes, so don't take them as golden for that area there. It's always best to marry it up to the individual car, but we can offer that as well. Again, there is a surcharge for that exact spec there because it's a bit more labour intensive, so contact us for more details on that. But apart from that, they're identical. Nope, that's a lie. For the PVC Everflex versions, the windows are HF welded in as well. You can see that kind of shiny element there, that's where it gets welded in. Obviously the rear window there would, it is welded in all the way around, it's just covered by that flap there. So just bear that in mind, whereas Mohair, they're sewn in because you can't get that weld effect on the Mohair canvas because of the way the material is. So just bear that in mind. But yeah, like I say, they did vary on the front end and with the three-piece versus one-piece with the chassis number change, so just bear that in mind. Apart from that, they are identical in the actual overall shape. You can get either of them to fit the same car. When it comes to fitment, as with all weather equipment, it is a bit of an art. Even experienced professional trimmers do struggle. We have been making these same soft tops for decades now, using the same patterns, and for the most part, of course, you can never fully guarantee fitment to these classic cars, but for the most part, I can't remember the last time we actually had an issue with these that wasn't easily resolvable with some tips and direction. So don't be afraid to ask, and actually we'd strongly recommend that you do ask before you go too far down the line. It's all about the placement of the fixings. It's all about stretching in between those fixings relevant to your car. It's a long-winded process, so do not rush it. If your trimmer thinks they can do it quite quickly, then err on the side of caution, I would, because you'll have issues around normally the B-post and the header rail if the stretch is not done correctly from fixing to fixing relevant to the car. So do bear that in mind. More than happy to help and guide. We've seen a lot of mistakes made over the years with these sorts of things, which unfortunately on the soft tops is hard to undo because once the fixing's in place, it's hard to move it without obviously having a hole in the material, so just bear that in mind. Speaking of the fixings, we do supply them, but they are loose. They're a mixture of the 10X and lifter dots. 10X go across the header rail, lifter dots in all the other areas around the back there. Going to the fixing, I'll explain more on an individual basis if people need it, but the fixings, you've got all of this area here, basically up, down, to put them in, which is relevant to your specific car, and that's all related to how it's fitting on the bows, where the bows are in relation on the B-post, quarter panels, etc. It's a fairly complex set of rules basically that make the fitment of a soft top quite individual to the car, more so than any other interior part, so just bear that in mind. Anyway, more than happy to help people on an ad hoc basis on that. So yeah, I think that's about covered it. As you can see, we kind of know the ins and outs of these things and we know what we're doing with them. See our website for more details, and always keep an eye on our blog handbook area. I'm constantly evolving and updating that with helpful advice, etc. In the interim period, thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe and share, and of course stay tuned for more episodes. Thanks.